everyone's different, and he didn't come out there on fire, averaging 25 points a game in the first couple of games. Oh, what a horrible idea to trade him from Dallas, and Atlanta's never going to be the same. They shouldn't have made this trade. And now this kid, since right about before the All-Star break and since the All-Star break, has been balling out of his mind. Game-winning shots, some of the sham god move on people, taking guys to the basket. And also, too, if you don't pay attention, you probably miss it. That's a nice young duo they got down there in Atlanta with him and Jason Collins. That can be a nice 1-2 punch for years to come. They got cap room. I would not be surprised if Atlanta's knocking on the door of the playoffs next year. But Trae Young, I think, is making a serious push to be NBA Rookie of the Year. So my question to you would be, have you seen enough from him to knock the great European sensation out of the top spot for NBA Rookie of the Year?
I can't say that I've seen it. I think it's a much, much closer race than it was. I think earlier in the season, I think what Luka Doncic was doing and how he was carrying that team, I mean, rookie, and, you know, he's the guy that they were looking to for the game-winning shot. He was the guy that they were looking to when they were down, and he was the guy that was making the big plays to bring them back. But Trae Young's so exciting. I mean, Trae Young is this... And I hate to put it like this, but he's the second coming of Steph Curry, and I say that because
bold statement, Patrick Hillwig.
I say that because he's molded his game around him. It's just like everybody else. Kobe molded his game around Jordan. So obviously we've all seen the videos. Every move Kobe did was the exact move that Jordan did. Well, I think Trae Young, watched Curry, and I think he really, really, really watched his game. And I mean, his game, they're very similar. I'm not saying they're the same. I'm not saying he can always knock down the shot, when it counts, like Curry has proven that he can do, and that's the biggest thing. But I think Trae Young, if he keeps at it, I think he can definitely get to that level. We can see he can shoot anywhere on the daggum court. I mean, there's nowhere on the court where he cannot shoot it, and you're like, oh, if he shoots this, he's not going to make it. No, he pulls up, and you're like, oh, it went in. Yes, he's constantly surprising you, and I think the thing that I like most about him is he's not afraid. He likes to score, but he's not afraid to get other people involved. He likes that. Those passes that he makes. And I mean, I remember when he was at Oklahoma, it was the same thing. It wasn't just the fact that he scored a lot. It was the fact that his court vision is crazy. The passes that he makes, the visions that he has to see somebody cutting down the lane and just, puts a pass right on the money. I mean, it's exciting to watch. I mean, he's one of the most exciting young players in the league. But I still think when you look at Luka, when you look at his style of play and what he can do, I still think that if you look at the whole season, I think Luka gave you a bigger picture of what he can do. Trae Young kind of had some time here where he was all
struggles. He's in the struggles for sure.
But I mean, obviously, clearly right now, hindsight being 2020, you're looking, this guy's right in front of us and he's on fire right now. So of course, there's a question coming up, but I still am going to stick with my original opinion, and I saw a thing, and I guess it was on like some app on my phone or whatever, and it was like, hey, choose. It was like a poll, and it was like who, and I picked Luka, and I think 70% of other people had picked him too. So I still think he's going to win it. I still think he did enough to keep it, but Trae Young definitely made it interesting towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. I think that because of the what's the phrase I'm looking for, the greater body of work that we got from Luka, I'd have to give it to him still. But yeah, if there was a second half NBA Rookie of the Year, I think Trae Young, along with the other guy, the kid Sexton that plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers, has also had a great second half. So, I mean, everybody's different in the NBA. Some guys, in your rookie year, you're LeBron James, where you come out the gate swinging, and some people take a while for them to kind of develop their game, especially when you're playing point guard. You got to learn the pace of the game, your teammates, where they want the ball, how do you get your own shot off, when do you take over, when do you work to get other people involved. I think also with them playing different positions, it also affects how quickly you can become quote-unquote bona fide NBA superstar. So a good discussion there on the NBA Rookie of the Year. Who is it? Who is not going to be? Just some real quick NBA news before we get into our MVP conversation. Man, it was the hottest thing smoking for a while there, and we haven't heard anything from it for a long time now. Big Baller Brand. That is the shoe company and apparel company owned by Lonzo Ball and his family. We saw this week that Alan Foster, who was one of the financial guys behind Big Baller Brand, he actually owns 16% of Big Baller Brand. Now has been fired, and also some lawsuits are impending. They have $1.5 million unaccounted for because of him, and they did some digging. Also, they found out the history of Mr. Foster is not so great. In 2002, he was actually sentenced to 7 years in prison for money laundering and fraud. So we have some issues going on there at the Big Baller brand. We'll have to see. Does this mean Lonzo Ball will sign with a major shoe company? Or is he going to just go back to the drawing board and kind of rebrand and redesign the Big Baller brand shoe and come up with something different? I've had read some reports that some people in the front office, actually the Lakers, were kind of wondering, because of the shoe design, is that contributing to the ankle injuries? Is it because he's not wearing Adidas, Nike, insert major company name here, but he's wearing his own shoe? Is that affecting the ankles and causing him to have those kind of injuries? And he had said that he'd make some tweaks to the shoe if necessary, but at this time he was not willing to leave his own brand and sign with somebody else. And something I found interesting, he actually practiced and trains in LeBron shoes. And if he was forced to change shoes, he'd wear the Kobe's, is what I read. So it's funny to have your own brand, but when you practice, you're not wearing your own brand. Just something to think about.
Well, I think I read something about that too, and I think he said he liked the LeBrons or whatever when he practiced because they were heavier.
Okay.
So they kind of, it's kind of like weight training or something like that with your ankles. But I also read that he deleted every picture on his every picture of Big Baller and of LeVar Ball on his Instagram, has also changed his profile picture on Instagram and Twitter to a baby picture of himself wearing Nikes. So what is he saying? What he said?
These NBA players miss subliminal shots.
I was about to say he said something. I believe he said something as well about he's going to be his own man or something like that. So they're talking about him leaving Big Baller and going with Nike. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, that's your shoe and you're leaving to go to another company. Where does that brand go? I don't know. That's going to be tough.
I mean, if you're already lost $1.5 million, I think I'm going to go to somebody that can help me recruit that $1.5 million pretty fast. That'd be Nike. And, of course, Mr. Foster's going to have some things to answer, too, as well, to figure out what role he played in that. Because, I mean, one thing you don't do is mess with a person's money. And when you talk about $1.5 million missing, I'm not letting you off the hook for that. I mean, for me, $10, I'll come at your neck.
Well, and the thing was, and I also read this other article in there as well, and it basically said that it says that Lonzo, for the past couple months or whatever, has been telling LeVar, hey, man, can you check on this stuff? Like, can you check on this guy? Like, hey, check on this guy. And apparently, with him being overseas with his brother and stuff like that, he really hadn't seen it. And once he finally checked the emails and really looked into it, he was like, whoa. Like, he was just as surprised as anybody else. So, and apparently there was he had already had a record, I guess, of doing some fraud and stuff like that.
2002, 2002.
In 2002. So, you got to be business smart. I get it. You're an NBA player. I get it. You have a season that you have to focus on. You have to focus on getting better, and you have to focus on your team. But if you're going to be an NBA player and you're also going to have a business, you have to have somebody that you trust, and you still have to have somebody else that checks that person that you trust.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to do full background checks on people you're doing business with. Before I sign a dotted line with anybody, if I'm Lonzo Ball, from any professional athlete, I'm doing a full background check on you, and I'm doing a background check on people who I hired to do a background check on you. I want to make sure everything is on the up and up. I mean, because we're talking about millions of dollars. I mean, to him, an NBA player, it might be 1.5, whatever, it's dropping the bucket. But you and I have seen way too many examples. I'm not wishing any ill will on Lonzo Ball at all, but you and I have seen many examples of players who were millionaires who 5 years after they leave the league, they're broke. They've lost all their money because of bad investments. I mean, Tim Duncan comes to mind. There's a case going on right now where Tim Duncan's lost millions of dollars. Think about a guy like a Sean Kemp. I mean, we saw the ESPN special broke. Most of those guys are football players, but there were NBA players in there that made millions.
Allen Iverson.
Yeah, they're struggling with finances. Yeah, struggling with finances. So, I mean, we hope the best for Lonzo. Hope that gets cleared up. He gets his money back and gets himself back on track as far as endorsements go and off the court things. Next thing we want to talk about is going to be the Lakers out of the playoffs, man. And we were getting ready to record the show, and Pat was like, "Oh my God, there's going to be no LeBron James in the playoffs." And I was like, "Yo, that's crazy to me. It's like an institution. I mean, it's taxes, it's 4th of July cookouts with fireworks, it's Cinco de Mayo equals tequila, and LeBron James in the NBA playoffs, and now he's not there. I mean, I'm stuttering and stammering right now to even comprehend that. I mean, what are your thoughts on no Bron in the playoffs?
I mean, my thoughts are it's been 12 years straight with him. Like, he missed the first 2 seasons, 12 years straight with him, 8 straight finals 8 straight
Yeah,
finals.
well, I knew that wasn't going to happen this year.
Right, no, I mean, but that's not even what... I wasn't even concerned if he made the finals this year. I think with the roster that they built, and we've talked about it enough this season, I don't really think they put any superstars around him, so I don't really think that they really, honestly, had any plan of maybe getting to the finals, unless they just thought LeBron was enough to take everybody to the next level. You know, Lance Stevenson, we'll take him to the next level. Rondo, hey, I love Rondo.
I do too. I'm a Rondo fan.
But Rondo's not a guy. I mean, you know what you're getting from Rondo. Rondo can score. Rondo can help your team play defense and get assists. But Rondo's not that guy that is a general. You know, you don't look at Rondo as a guy that's going to take a team and, you know, sit down and talk with guys and get everybody going in the same direction. I mean, he can be, but he's also Rondo. He goes into his little, you know, own world sometimes, and we've seen it throughout his career.
Story.
I mean, we've
and
seen it with coaches. We've seen it with everything. Earlier this season, we talked about it. He was sitting out in the, you know, down on the seats
in the stands, basically,
in the fan, right, with the fans. So, I mean, but that's not the guy that, in my opinion, if I'm making a roster and I want, you know, LeBron to have a roster to make the finals, that's not a guy that I think would be that kind of guy. I would want more like a CP3, or I would want somebody else that's another superstar. And they have some young players in Kuzma and Ingram.
Protect Kuzma at all costs.
Hey, I hope, best of luck to Ingram. I heard I heard the surgery that he had went well or whatever, and I heard that, you know, he's expected to have a full recovery. But those guys are what you want to build around, and they were just too young. They just weren't ready to really take on the roles. I mean, they were both great scorers, but they weren't ready to put into the game, I guess, what LeBron was looking for, and to break it, basically to take their game to the next level. Like, their game is here. It could be here, but it's here and it's stuck here. It's not really going to go anywhere this year. And what the Lakers needed this year was they needed a player that was here, that was going to step his game up or try to play better for LeBron or you know what I mean? And I think they just relied on LeBron too much. You know, and that's the biggest thing is LeBron's not like the young LeBron. I mean, he's good and he can be dominant, but he doesn't have the capability of continuing to be dominant the way he was and just taking over that team and just doing it. Like, and we saw what happened. I mean, how many games did he miss earlier this season? 18
Yeah, I was going to say, in my opinion, the Lakers season ended when he got the groin injury.
Yep.
I think if LeBron James doesn't get hurt, they're a 6 through 8 seed. They're in the playoffs.
I can see that.
I think that the injury is what derailed their season. I think that was a chance for those guys to really show, hey, yes, they were still early in the season. It was a Christmas Day game, but LeBron kind of showed us the way. He's out with an injury. Let's take this thing and run with it and hold it down till he gets back. And the opposite happened. Inconsistent, up and down. And when he came back, he still wasn't, in my opinion, 100%. And it was too late. The damage had been done. Too many key losses. They just couldn't recover. I think that Ingram's play definitely increased. I think his scoring average went up. I like what I saw from Brandon Ingram. I said every show, protect Kuzma at all costs. I'm a huge Kyle Kuzma fan. I think he was a great addition. I think you keep those 3 guys, and everybody else is expendable, man. In my opinion.
Hey, your Michigan guy Hart too, man.
Josh Hart
came up big this season
and got hurt as well.
Yeah, so I mean, injuries obviously played a major factor, I think, in that team.
Yeah, of course.
If they were healthy, could all those players that, you know, they signed and put on the team? Yeah, but injuries is part of the game. I don't care if you're playing football, basketball, baseball. Your superstar goes down, the next person's got to step up. Another superstar or another, you know, one of your top 2 or top 3 player goes down, yeah, somebody's got to step up, but I think you just have to lower your expectations at some point because, you know, these guys they never have been, so how can I expect them to be to that level?
True.
But, you know, you still got to push forward. You still got to try to, you know, because you never know. Somebody else could fall too, like you said. Somebody else could start struggling, and if you know, catch a streak or something like that, you could get into the playoffs. You know, if the Spurs started struggling late in the season, the Clippers started struggling late in the season. Hey, right now the Lakers, they're obviously eliminated. But, you know, had they have gotten that healthy squad or whatever, maybe they could have made that push late in the season.
Yeah, they just needed to win more games and LeBron was out. Like, to me, if somebody asked me to summarize the Lakers season, it ended when LeBron James injured his groin on Christmas Day. If he had not gotten hurt, I have no doubt in my mind that team would have made the playoffs. This is a huge offseason for these guys. They have money. They have cap room. We've talked about it every show, about the Kawhi Leonards, about the Kyrie Irvings, the amount that Kevin Durant's, all these free agents that we have coming up this season. They've got to land somebody. I mean, I think you'd agree with me. Them and the Knicks have more pressure than anybody to land somebody legit during this offseason because they have so much money and because they've talked such a good game about free agents, man. Free agents, we're going to get it right. We're going to get it right. Just hold on with us, guys, and bear with us. So we'll have to see. But, yeah, when LeBron James got injured,